Hello, everyone. I'm Kimberly Guilfoyle, along with Juan Williams, Brian Kilmeade, Dana Perino, and Greg Gutfeld. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. Only 74 days left until Election Day, and the war of words is only getting uglier. The two nominees are now focused on which candidate is more intolerant of others.
Hillary Clinton is a bigot who sees people of color only as votes, not as human beings worthy of a better future.
Donald Trump has shown us who he is, someone who is very much peddling bigotry and prejudice and paranoia.
Well, that was yesterday, and the bigotry allegations got stepped up a few notches today.
Trump is reinforcing harmful stereotypes and offering a dog whistle to his most hateful supporters. So no one should have any illusions about what's really going on here. The names may have changed. Racists now call themselves racialists. White supremacists now call themselves white nationalists. The paranoid fringe now calls itself alt-right. But the hate burns just as bright. And now Trump is trying to rebrand himself as well.
It's the oldest play in the Democratic playbook. When Democratic policies fail, they are left with only this one tired argument. You're racist, you're racist, you're racist.
Okay, so a lot of, people talking online, Twitter, et cetera, about the tone coming from both camps today. It felt a little bit different today. Things were getting more intense, more specific in terms of allegations of racism, bigotry. Dana, from a communications perspective, is this where they should be at this point of the game before the election?
I think it was inevitable because it was bubbling up. I think Donald Trump is right that it doesn't matter who the Republican is. At some point, the left will say that that person is racist. I mean, they tried to pin that on Mitt Romney, of all people. I mean, that was extremely offensive to him. But there is a problem with this alt-right movement, and many people at this table and at this network have been targets by these people that hide behind their little Twitter accounts and write horrible, disgusting things about not just liberals, but about people like me.
Yeah.
And I'm pointing to myself in that I've been a lifelong Republican. I was the first Republican woman to serve as White House press secretary. I have dedicated my career to trying to advance conservative principles and to try to win national elections. And so that was sort of bubbling up. Trump opens the door a little bit because of basically not shutting those people down. Right? Not just saying you are not welcome here. It goes back to the David Duke thing. He eventually disavows him, but it left a mark. And so I think what she was trying to do is, well, let me back up. There was something said on TV this afternoon suggesting that Hillary Clinton gave this speech today because her campaign is so worried that Trump is actually making inroads with the minority community. I don't think that's it at all. I think that Hillary Clinton, one, thinks is a real problem about white nationalism, masculinity, white supremacy, all that stuff. But I also think that she saw this as an opening to destroy what's left of the Republican Party. She gave probably the best speech of her campaign, and it will definitely leave a mark. And it doesn't matter that last night in Jackson, Mississippi, in front of a really white crowd, that Donald Trump calls Hillary a bigot, which is such strong language. I don't think from a communication standpoint, to get back to your question, do I think it's where they should be? No, I wish it wasn't where they had to be, but I do think that this fight was coming, and I guess it's probably good to get it done and out of the way and have this fight before Labor Day so that the rest of the campaign can focus on important issues.
Yeah, you would think this would not come at all and wouldn't be a good idea. Okay, Brian, I see you.
All right, a couple of things. Number one, she hit her best combination in late August. She hit with I can hit him with the right, I can take him out with the left, and I'm going to throw the punch early in the fight. Man, if this was October, I'd say, wow, you really just want to make this guy unelectable. But here we are in a speech that was supposed to be about something entirely different. It was supposed to be a speech that was going to be a focus on small business, and she quickly changed it. I have differed from you in one area, Dana. I do think that she saw that she was taking on water over the last few days, over the last few weeks.
On what?
She wanted to take on water from the emails to the foundation to the linkage.
Oh, she wanted to change the subject.
She wanted to change the subject, and she said the way to do it is to go at him, because if he didn't draw blood on her tactically, she would not have been doing this today. She'd been more than happy to continue with the LA fundraisers, talk about small business, and go back to sleep.
I would agree with you, except for this point. One, tactically, you have to hand it to her. Okay, that was a good way to change the subject.
It's
And
extreme,
two, the
though.
other subject that we're going to talk about in the next block is not Hillary's emails. It is Trump's flip-flop on immigration. So it's not like he's trying to help himself by keeping the focus on her. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, but I would say this. This was an extreme speech. I don't think anybody that knows Donald Trump thinks he's a white supremacist. I don't think he's a racist. And she's saying because these white supremacists support him, he has to be one. And that slick, less than slick ad does not tell the story.
She is trying to paint all Republicans with this broad brush based on this very fringe, very small group of trolls that exist anonymously on Twitter and say the most vile things. That's what she was trying to do.
Sitting right here.
Right.
Just say my name.
Greg, this time it's not you.
I know. I'm
Is this going to backfire?
I bet you 2 days ago, Hillary thought alt-right was like a computer key. And then somebody had
alt-right delete.
Yeah, alt-right delete, and then
My emails.
But you know, it
All
is.
of them.
There's so many things here. Okay, so it's like the bigot Olympics today. It was like, who is the worst bigot? So Trump says she's a bigot because her policies have affected negatively the inner cities. He's a bigot because he surrounds himself with people who might be racist, and he doesn't refute racism. The bottom line is neither of them are racist.
They're not.
They're not. None of them are. We are just in a really stupid election.
Yep.
We're
Really is.
screwed. This is how low we've gotten, that we are sitting here talking about this crap. Also, I mean, Hillary hit him on birtherism. Didn't she kind of start that when she was running against Obama? The other thing, too, is we have to remember that what she's doing is what we all do. Like when the new Black Panthers came out, we said, okay, we use that to paint a picture of the Democratic Party, right? I did it with Occupy Wall Street. Whenever Occupy Wall Street would come up, I go, oh, look at the left, look at the left. So what this is, what the alt-right is political appropriation. It's like cultural appropriation. It's like they infiltrated conservatism. They took things that mattered, like the war on radical Islam, right? Immigration policy, the politically correct movement, how it's polluted our speech. And they've kind of put this weird white nationalist veneer of it. They peed in our pool, essentially. And we have the responsibility to call them out. The problem is when you call them out, you give them more credence.
Yep.
They don't.
I did not know anything about the alt-right.
That's what I'm saying.
Up until the last couple of days. I never even heard of it.
And the point is now she was smart. She took it.
Yeah.
She was smart. She took it. She made it into a big thing. I think Donald Trump was right to pre-buttal. He did a pre-buttal. I thought that was a good move. And he brought up the point that you did. You're right. The last refuge of a wrong argument is to call somebody a racist.
In August. You're doing it in August.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She's
well,
10
it's a hot
points
month.
ahead. Juan, what did you think about today? You've been covering politics for so many
well,
years.
let me just say, I think that there was no choice. I mean, she did, first of all, great speech. Great speech.
I thought it was terrible.
That was a wonderful speech. I will leave that up to whatever you want, but that was an effective speech and compelling. And let me just say, at this table, everybody's saying, oh, she's really attacking the whole Republic. She's not attacking the Republic. She's not attacking John McCain, who said Barack Obama's a good man. You may disagree with him, but he is an American. He's not attacking George W. Bush, who was visiting mosque after 9/11.
But she doesn't need to.
She's not attacking Bob Dole, who told racists, go for the exit at the Republican National Convention when he was running. What she is attacking is very real. And at this table, again, people say, oh, well, this is just political. Let me just tell you something. Remember, this is Donald Trump, who went after Judge Curiel, who says we should build a wall throughout all the immigrants. This is a guy who was prosecuted by the Justice Department for discrimination, racial discrimination, in buildings that he was housing and his tenants. Let me just remind you that when white supremacists like David Duke say, if you don't vote for Donald Trump, you're a traitor to the white race, that's a pretty strong message.
But on the other side, you can easily find in the fringe on the left endorsing Hillary, or any liberal. I mean, the new Black Panthers supported candidate Obama. He had Reverend Wright on his side. Everybody plays the fringe game.
The Communist Party endorses Hillary Clinton.
That's true.
Let me say, this is not my eye, your eye,
right.
and
yes,
you did it to me. No, it is. Let me tell you something. The American people know the truth here. Polls show 65 of all U.S. adults say the tag racist attaches to Donald Trump to some degree. But 35% of Americans say it attaches to Donald Trump absolutely and very well. 35, that's all Americans. So she's not, this is not something that was invented as a political stunt.
I mean, do you think that if it wasn't for the outright 7-day, 8-day push, 9-day push by Donald Trump to say to the black community, I want your vote, and fill in the blanks after that she'd be making that speech? And the Hispanic community there in the meeting today?
That wasn't
but
it.
She
Let me
was
just
supposed
tell you.
to talk about small business.
Doesn't
if he
matter.
wasn't making inroads, if he wasn't making, she thought she won already.
He is
and
not
now she was forced out of a vacation.
Brian, I don't know what poll you may
herself.
have seen, but she is not making any inroads with black voters, or I mean, he's not making any inroads with black voters specifically, or Latino. Nothing.
I actually think that, Brian, the promotion of Steve Bannon, who was running Breitbart News, to campaign CEO was the motivation for her to give the speech, not that there was a concern for her in the polls. And that happened earlier this week.
Go ahead.
I just have a quick question I just want to follow up on because I think it's so important. We've been talking about the impact on women who turn out to vote, and obviously this is a group that he needs to do better with. It's a group that obviously she wants to stay and keep control and gather more from. The impact of some of these incendiary comments and baiting back and forth, what toll will it take, if any?
I think that, for me, I don't want to be called a racist, and I don't want to be lumped in with a bunch of people that say that that I would ever support a racist. I don't want that. And so in some ways, you could see Republican women becoming defensive and saying, how dare you suggest that? But I don't think that's what she did, if you listen and watch the speech. I thought last night, when he called Hillary Clinton a bigot, I was like, I'm just going to make sure I understand what the word bigot means. So I went on the Google, and I checked it out. I'm like, okay. Neither of them, as you're saying, neither of them are bigots.
Yeah.
Neither of them are racist. I cannot wait until the baby boomers are no longer running for president, because I actually think that this kind of racial tension like this actually goes away when that generation's politicians are no longer running for president. And this will be their last go-round.
It was away for 8 years. It was away. We were not talking race like we were over the last 7.5 years.
I want to something we have to say as somebody who has been a conservative and a libertarian since 1988. I work for the American Spectator. I've written books on conservatism. There's nothing right about the alt-right. There's nothing.
They're not even conservative.
They're not conservative. If you look at their beliefs, they're anti-everything. They're the equivalent of the radical left in that you want to destroy something without the idea of replacing it. And the fact that we're talking about them, we are feeding a troll.
She started it. She brought it up today.
She's very smart.
No, I think Kimberly's onto something when she asked you that question about your reaction, Dana. Because yesterday at the table, I said, Dana, I think a lot of this is directed at Republican women, you, I was going to say, who are concerned about this. And if you look at Donald Trump's numbers right now with white women, you see that he's at a negative. He's losing white women.
He's underperforming with every demographic, and I don't know what they're going to do to turn that around, especially if you are just looking tactically at battleground states. I'm all for outreach to Latinos and African Americans. I'm all for it. But you have a very narrow path to get to 270 electoral votes. And this last few days is not going to cut it.
And it doesn't play out by having Donald Trump in Mississippi with Nigel Farage, the nationalist from Europe, talking about white nationalists. This is craziness.
Say a Farage with a little biscuit and a little Brexit on the side. And leave Dana Perino alone.
Yeah,
I'll come
all right.
after you.
Mean people.
Yeah. I hate these people on that, Greg. All right? Much more to come on the 5. They're just jealous. He's threatened to deport 11 million illegals in America, but it's Donald Trump now considering allowing them to stay if he's president. His answer ahead. Let's get it.
The records show that Greg disapproved of my music choice.
Well, I'm just surprised you like it.
I do like it. All right, this week, Donald Trump's muddled his position on illegal immigration. We were just talking about that in the A block. He's trying to be all things to all people. So where does he stand now? Well, he tried to clarify that on Hannity last night.
No citizenship.
No citizenship.
Let me go a step further. They'll pay back taxes. They have to pay taxes. There's no amnesty as such. There's no amnesty.
Right.
But we work with them. Everybody agrees we get the bad ones out. But when I go through and I meet thousands and thousands of people on this subject, and I've had very strong people come up to me, really great, great people come up to me, and they've said, Mr. Trump, I love you. But to take a person that's been here for 15 or 20 years and throw them and the family out, it's so tough, Mr. Trump. I mean, I have it all the time. It's a very, very hard thing.
Trump vows no amnesty, but says he will work with the undocumented. His campaign says he hasn't changed his position, but Charles Krauthammer argued it this way.
This is not evolution. This is a complete turnabout. And the worst thing is not just that it's a change of policy. It's that look at what happens to the underlying logic. This was the tent pole of his campaign. The politicians are idiots. Now he tells us, oh, the laws are wonderful, as administered by Bush and Obama. I don't want to change any of it. I'll be a little more energetic. That undermines everything he's ever said, and you have to question, did he ever mean it?
Okay, so quite a turnabout, Greg.
Yeah, he caved more than a seasoned spelunker.
Don't even know what that means.
Neither do I. It's very Dennis Miller. But we all knew that. I mean, okay. I said this yesterday. If you didn't know he was going to change his mind, it's on you, because he changed his position more than an Olympic gymnast.
Remember Jeb Bush said that?
Yeah, I mean, he literally turned into Jeb Bush just now. And remember, Ted Cruz warned everybody that, you don't know what Trump you're going to get. But Trump is counting on one thing, that his ardent supporters don't care. And you can tell by the audience when they're clapping that they clap everything that he says. And I think it's because if you admit to caring, then you admit that you were wrong. And no one likes to admit that they're wrong, so they're just going to say, oh, he evolved, and maybe I'll evolve too, because I like the man. I like the man. The issues aren't as important because I trust him. I think that's why this really doesn't matter as much, even though it matters to the people that he's hurt and demeaned for holding those same positions.
I agree. Brian, President Bush, 43, won 40% of the Hispanic vote in 2000, 44% in 2004. In 2008, McCain, they estimated he needed to hit 35%, 35%. 35%, he only got 30. Romney, they said, you're going to have to, because of demographic changes, you have to hit at least 35%. He got 27%. Even if Trump is polling, as the Fox News Latino poll shows, 22%, I mean, those two candidates lost. So is a softening on immigration a potential way to turn things around?
The biggest surprise for me is that didn't happen in July. That's the biggest surprise for me. This is 75 days out. And the thing is, the way he did it, the way he delivered it, I guess the immigration speech has been pushed off another week. It's not going to be next week in Arizona. He's starting to see some of the problems. Like Ann Coulter, for example, came out and said, if he does this, it'll be the shortest book tour ever, because I can't support him. She just wrote a book supporting him, right? Right. And Jeb Bush came out today and said, I can't believe this guy. I can't believe, basically, this is all a game for him, so he's against it. For Marco Rubio, for Governor Kasich, you wonder if this might be, okay, now I can support him. And other Republicans who are on the sideline who said, I'm going to lose Hispanic votes if I go for him, now I can support him. And if, for example, you run against Obamacare, and then all of a sudden you get to the general and you go, man, if I run against Obamacare, I will lose that independent, then I'm going to keep that to myself.
I'm only smiling because that was an amazing spin. It was amazing.
It's fact.
I hadn't thought of it that way. It's fact. You think that John Kasich and Rubio and Cruz are there going, hey, now I can get behind Donald Trump after he eviscerated me and called me all those names?
Well, he said, well, if you ask Kasich, it's not personal. Kasich says it's because he talked about the deportation, and I can't do that. So if you're talking about some of the issues and you're a Republican and
maybe
you think
you're right.
Hillary Clinton is scandal-plagued, which I have a tendency to believe she is, then maybe I can
maybe
get
that's true. In fact, Kellyanne Conway maybe is like having a little bit of an impact. They do a few focus groups, they get his ear, and they say, you know what, sir, this is not going well. Kimberly, in 6 of these states, I'm going to just name the states, you actually have to do better than Obama, or at least as good as Obama. New Mexico, Ohio, Colorado, Nevada, Virginia, and Florida with Hispanics.
Yeah, he's going to have to build a wall and get up to that level. I don't know. I think
and a pole vault.
Went up over the top. I mean, you know, I guess, look, nobody said it's going to be easy, right? But you can't give up. You got to try. I do think the impact of Kellyanne Conway has been significant.
Yep.
I saw the interview that Megyn Kelly did with her, which was very good, and Megyn was tough on her. And then I saw her do another interview with Rachel Maddow, and Rachel Maddow congratulated her on being the first, you know, thing out the top, on being the first, you know, female campaign manager. So I think it's resonating. She's doing some outreach, and again, coupling that with, you know, the focus groups, perhaps it's having an impact. And as to what, you know, Greg said, I think you hit it on the head. I think that the people that are with Trump are all in on him. Vegas, they pushed all the chips in, and they're like, we're going all the way.
They're not going to do anything to help Hillary.
No,
so it doesn't matter to them.
No, they're not. And so if he tweaks this, tweaks that, says, okay, everybody can stay, whatever, maybe we're going to have to pay for part of the later, right? They're going to be like, that's their guy. That's their guy.
So what do you think, Juan? I haven't gotten to you yet.
My hair is on fire today. I just can't take it. You know
Was
why?
it all the hairspray?
You know why? Wait a second. Isn't this the guy that said, you know, Judge Curiel can't do it? Rapists and thieves being sent here, the Mexicans, right? This is the guy who says outrageous things about people. And he said, oh, he's not changing his immigration policy. He is pandering, and he's trying to get Dana Perino's vote by saying, oh, he's not anti-immigrant.
He's saying he wants the bad guys
Because
out.
overwhelmingly the American people think that people should not be deported.
Wait a second. I just have a sense that, wait a second, who's for the TPP and who's against it? Wait a second. What day is it? With Hillary Clinton, 40 times she's for this the gold standard, and now she can't stand it.
You don't understand. If we're talking about the immigration issue, it's not that he's doing a flip-flop, Brian. He's doing cartwheels. I mean, when you have Krauthammer saying, this is not a change of position. It's not
critical
evolution.
of Donald Trump? Since when?
I'm just saying, listen to what Charles is saying in terms of the honesty of the analysis. This is not a slight change. He is playing his supporters for rubes.
But okay, but that's the point here. Is that if you understand Donald Trump,
I'm worried about our country.
But this is important. If you understand Donald Trump, you understand that every position is negotiable. Every principle is up for grabs. It's a deal. It's the supporters who called you a rhino for believing in these things who now are okay with it.
It will be interesting to see if those in the media that have supported him on the deportation issue change their opinion and then actually maybe back off and let the Congress solve this issue. Maybe that'll happen. That could be good. All right, ahead, WikiLeaks is promising to release significant information that could threaten Hillary Clinton's candidacy. What its founder told Fox News, and our thoughts on some of the hypocrisy out there on the issue of hacking. That's next.
What happened? There I am. All right, last night, Julian Assange went on Megyn Kelly's show and said he'd be leaking more stuff regarding Hillary Clinton and that some of it might be really entertaining.
Are we going to see it before the November 8th election?
Yes, absolutely. People have a right to understand who it is that they're nominating. It's a variety of different types of documents from different types of institutions that are associated with the election campaign. Some quite unexpected angles that are quite interesting. Some even entertaining.
I can hardly wait. Now, as this is happening, hackers posted naked pictures of actress Leslie Jones, causing a whole lot of outrage. So it's always been my question, why are hacks okay in some cases, but not in others? They're both intrusions. Are such exposures only acceptable when it benefits you, hurts an adversary, or satisfies your morbid curiosity? Now, both hacks are different. Clinton's is obviously running for president, after all. And what if there's something in her leak that exposes illegal behavior? But an investigation into mishandling classified info is one thing. That's not what Assange is doing. Remember, if he had your personal info, medical records, financials, or a home movie you made with some hitchhikers back in the 80s.
Oh, my God.
He'd gleefully publish them all in the name of Assange. His actions aren't journalism, but self-promotion. It's the work of a man who loves to see his name in print, even if it means soiling the names of others. He says that Americans have a right to know who we are voting for. But since when did he care about America? Assange's leaks have just one thing in common, and it's not principle, it's availability. It's whatever he can get his hands on or what's handed to him, meaning you could be next. Or worse, Me. Really, this is all a self-serving monologue, Brian.
Well, you know, it was good.
You know what's going to happen to you.
Right.
You know what you have. I know you. You probably have 5 email accounts. All the passwords are named after your kids or soccer athletes or dogs.
Right.
I could probably hack your account in 10 minutes.
Well, first off, why you differentiate between soccer and athletes? We are athletes. First off, okay.
Good point.
I'm sorry. What is your first name? We're never on together. This is a certain thrill for me.
Yes.
First off, I'm with you. I mean, if you want to get to the truth,
oh my God.
I hope we can get the FBI to do that.
Yes.
You know, can you do an investigation? Right. I do not want to hail him because he might be pursuing Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Yeah.
I had Reince Priebus on the radio today, and he said to me, "I'm not happy about this. I don't care what they find. I don't want the October surprise to come from Julian Assange."
Exactly.
Right.
I mean,
good, mature position.
Because he doesn't care, Kimberly, about who it is. He's not a Republican, so he's not doing this to help Trump. He just likes to disrupt.
Right,
That's basically
yeah,
it.
disruptor. But he tried. Megan asked him about this, and we read the transcript, and she honed in on him, and he said, "Listen, I think people have a right to know. They should know who they're voting for. They should know what the truth is." And he said that he doesn't want to, tell exactly, obviously, what it is, but he thinks that it's significant, and then made the point that you're going to have to see if the media picks up on it, but he thinks it's significant enough. Nevertheless, yeah, I agree. This is the same thing, as Edward Snowden, right? So it's the same principles. It's intrusive. It violates, privacy. We don't want the Russians hacking us. We don't want the Chinese or the North Koreans, and you don't want Assange getting a hold of it and being a disruptor in United States general election.
You know what also, Dana, we are kind of guilty as human beings because we are curious about people's inner lives. We don't care about what they do outside, but we want to know what they're doing at home or what they're thinking, so we want to read it.
Well, it's like irresistible. Like, you would never want it for yourself, but that's why people buy National Enquirer or things like that. I am not for the leaks. You'll find that any press secretary out there, they're never the leaker. All right, you always have to clean up after the leaker. Part 2 of that interview airs tonight. And Megyn Kelly talks to him about. Remember, a couple weeks ago, Assange alluded to the DNC staffer who was unfortunately viciously murdered in Washington D.C. And apparently, she talks to him about that, and we're going to find out tonight more about it.
Juan, anything in your emails that you often wake up in the middle of the night and go, "Oh my God,
it's over"? I'm done. I'm cooked. But I must say, I just find this so odd because I think Julian Assange, he's done damage to our national security. And so the people who would celebrate, oh, he was come out with something on Hillary Clinton, they don't, wait a minute, this is Julian Assange. And not only that, go back to the DNC stuff. Remember, the Russians were handing him stuff. They're using this guy.
I don't know if that's been proven, but I will.
I think the Justice Department has said that's what. That's
Glenn Greenwald has distanced himself from him, as it was Edward Snowden, and we'll talk to him on Fox and Friends tomorrow if he's not arrested or jailed.
Yes,
you never know because he's in the Ecuadorian embassy in Britain.
Really?
Very
so
interesting. You just might have blown up your interview for tomorrow. I'm just kidding.
It's okay.
You know how funny this is, being on with the two of you? It's like the Brady Bunch, right? I'm looking at you and I'm looking. This is
I hope I'm Peter.
Yeah.
No, I would be Greg.
Just don't want to be Alice.
Yeah, you're Greg. He's Peter.
Alice was
or
a
he's
legend.
Bobby.
All right, and Sam always brought the meat.
He did.
Coming up, the Clinton Foundation continues to come under fire, but don't worry. Hillary says it's all just smoke. She's also answering questions about hiding from the press. Her latest excuse next.
Hillary Clinton rarely does national TV interviews, but she did one last night. She denied allegations that donors to the Clinton Foundation got favors from her State Department.
My work as Secretary of State was not influenced by any outside forces. I made policy decisions based on what I thought was right to keep Americans safe and to protect U.S. interests abroad. Well, what we did when I was Secretary of State, as I said, went above and beyond anything that was required, anything that any charitable organization has to do. I know there's a lot of smoke and there's no fire.
She also rarely goes before a group of reporters, as in a press conference, to answer questions, and she addressed that.
Will you give a press conference?
Well, Anderson, I'm talking to you right now, and I've given, I think, way in excess of 300 interviews this year. I've got a lot that I have been sharing with the press, talking to the press, as I'm doing with you right now. So, stay tuned.
Oh, my God.
Stay tuned.
Here we are.
What do you think, Brian?
What do I think? I think that if this backs up my original premise, which Dana will never be convinced of, for her to give that excoriating speech and go off the original topic, for her to call into Anderson Cooper last night, shows that this attack was working over the last 2 weeks, that he didn't anticipate him loading up the prompter, Donald Trump loading up the prompter and not doing national interviews where it's unscripted and he can trip over his own words, and that's why she called in. Do you think she's trying to boost Anderson Cooper's ratings? She tanked Jimmy Kimmel's. So what she's trying to say here, and she has no answers. There's no Barack Obama, Bill Clinton skill to answer these questions. Why don't you have a press conference? Well, the last time I did one at the United Nations, it was a disaster, and almost everything I said was untrue. Any other questions?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I think the last time Donald Trump had a interview like this with Stephanopoulos, it was a disaster too. What's the deal?
But Trump does all the interviews.
No, in fact, he's been doing fewer. In fact, basically, he does Sean Hannity on Fox, and he's been turning down interviews from CBS and all the other networks.
He's going to do Anderson Cooper tonight.
Listen,
I
think
he's changed. Okay.
Tonight.
He makes himself on hers very available. I've seen it at the debates. You got to be fair. He does answer the questions, and perhaps if he had a team like squeezing him a bit, he wouldn't. Yes, he's doing the teleprompter, which I think is good because you have to be like specific, tailored, and focused. That's that's politics. But in terms of Hillary Clinton, you can talk about Trump, but you can't avoid the facts, which is Hillary Clinton cannot answer questions. She doesn't have the skill set like Dana
Remember
said.
the Ed Henry question?
Clinton,
just wipe with a cloth?
Right. There's no way. And by the way, then there's going to be 100 commercials with different sound bites and lies and inconsistencies because there's a lot of material to work with because she's been in politics and or in the White House as First Lady for a long time, right?
Now, is there a double standard in terms of Trump sticking with Fox? And what Clinton said last night on Anderson Cooper was, you know more about the foundation than you'll ever know about Trump and his taxes.
Well, that's actually a pretty effective response from her. I think there's also just the press is frustrated. The reporters that cover her every day, that get on her campaign plane and follow her around to these fundraisers, and they have a job to do every day. They have to turn in a story to their editors, and she's not feeding them.
No.
So they're frustrated, and then they're starting to worry, like, well, what if she really became president? What is going to happen to transparency and our ability to actually ask questions of the leader? I think that there is risk in her. There's risk anytime you go out and you do an interview.
Sure.
Tactically, if I were on her team right now advising her, I would say hold.
Yeah.
What would you say, Greg?
Yeah, it's a sad kind of candidate that the less they see of you, the better you do.
Unbelievable.
I mean,
that's the truth.
That would hurt my feelings if Fox says, we're going to keep you off TV.
Hey, give you a raise.
Yeah, give you a raise. We're going to pay you to stay home.
I'll take that
very
deal.
quickly, Howard
That's what
Dean
A-Rod's
said,
got right now.
The press is anti-Hillary. That's what Howard Dean said.
Well, you know what? No, I believe that boring works in her favor. You can get away with so much illegal stuff when the things that are illegal are boring because with the email scandal. There's no good visuals. We opened the 4 o'clock hour on Fox with a pastor arguing with an immigration protester, and it was great tape, but it was just two people arguing. You go and have those visuals you can't just have somebody open up an email. You know what I mean? She's benefiting from illegal activity that is boring.
All right.
But
well,
also, she did one interview like what Chris Wallace. She should be coming on Fox. We're like crushing everybody else in terms of the numbers.
She called it to Bill O'Reilly.
Reach people.
She called me over the weekend.
But I must say that obviously Howard Dean, a lot of Democrats think the press is anti-Hillary, which upset Brian. He couldn't believe it. Anyway, ahead, Apple could launch its newest iPhone within weeks. And if the rumors are true, there's going to be a big change. And it's going to tick off a lot of people. What is it? Next.
All right, Apple is expected to release its next iPhone in the coming weeks, and rumor has it the 7, if you promise not to tell anyone, might not have a headphone jack anymore. This image wasn't released by the company, but this is what's rumored it to look like. It's thinner, no room for jack. Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak is predicting people aren't going to like this change, and after all, he co-founded Apple, saying, quote, if it's missing the 3.5 millimeter earphone jack, that's going to tick off a lot of people. I would not use Bluetooth. I don't like wireless. And he's smart and has a beard. Greg, your stand on the slimmer iPhone 7 desperately trying to be something different.
When I first heard the news, I immediately went on a hunger strike. I've not eaten since 3 p.m.
Wow.
I had 3 containers of the Chick-fil-A boneless ones. I ate 3 of them with 8 sauces. This is a big problem. I mean, compare this to the problems that we had decades ago, like polio.
Right.
This is our problem.
Right.
This is our segment.
But we beat polio. Maybe we can beat the earphone jack.
Well, polio's coming back. So
I hope not. It's
Oh my
slimmer,
gosh,
more
don't
water
say it.
resistant, Dana.
Well, that's good because, you know, that one time when I had my phone in my back pocket and forgot about it, and then I had to get a new phone. That happened.
fell in
You've
the
learned
toilet.
since then.
Wow.
Yes.
Kimberly, it turns out they're going to be able to take 2 pictures at one time, and they'll both
What?
capture the same image differently, different colors.
Okay, but there's filters for that too, right?
Right.
What was that new app that you had?
Oh,
that-
Prisma.
Correct.
Pretty cool.
Okay, but you know, fine. I don't know. Why are they taking this jack out? I just think this is a little too much for me.
You
and
know,
Jada
I'm
said
the
we might have to
last-
wear big headphone things and smash our
Right.
hair.
You know, I'm the last guy in the gym who was using the jack. You know, I mean, there's nobody. And now, you know, my kids gave me, because they were laughing at me, they gave me a Bluetooth set of
Right.
headphones.
And?
they kept breaking and stuff. I don't know if I'm too rough on them. But now, according to these guys, there's something called USB Type-C port. And I don't know what that is, but it's like a Bluetooth
Right.
2, you know, second gen, and it's supposed to be better. The music's not supposed to be flat because I think you get better sound quality with the jack than you do with the Bluetooth.
Right, it's better on phone calls, but it's something else to lose, something else to charge.
Yeah.
Although
Don't take the
spend our
jack
whole
off.
life
Oh, it's
charging.
heavy. The
I
thing
don't-
is,
don't
like,
take the
it might be
jack off.
slimmer and it might weigh less, but then if you have to carry around headphones, that weighs more. If you can just, right now, you can put the headphones in your pocket.
The biggest, why are you laughing, Greg?
Because
the
Greg
biggest
is
phone, the
a
biggest thing is
troublemaker.
the battery life. You show me a long battery, I'm a happy
what is-
On the headphone, you mean, on the Bluetooth.
Everything. I want more battery power.
What is this?
But that's
iPhone 7
selfish.
have?
What?
No,
What
what
does
if you
iPhone
want
7
to?
have?
They haven't committed
Selfish.
to
You
more
have
battery
enough.
power.
Why do you need more battery?
You
I have
wanna
this
be
back-
able
Why don't
to
you just,
plug
you're like
in
an
your
addict.
Beat.
Stop with the batteries. Stop with the batteries.
You see, you're
You
battery.
need a battery intervention.
I like it so much better when I fill in for Greg as opposed to have to be
Right.
on with Greg.
I don't
usually
like
get
when
yelled at.
I don't like
in-
when the Brady Bunch brothers argue.
Hey, listen, I'm getting yelled at from people more powerful than me and certainly with louder voices than Greg. One more thing coming up next. Please take a wide shot.
All right, it's time now for one more thing. Greg, you have a very special.
Oh, you know what? We have some amazing fans
You
at
do.
the 5, even when you're here, Brian. Anyway, Kelly and Joshua Ureke, or Ureke, U-R-E-K-E, drove all the way to Texas with this.
From Texas.
From Texas. Check that out. Is that amazing?
That is amazing. I'm serious. It is
They
fantastic.
drove that
This is
painting from
gorgeous.
Texas to here because it entrusted
And
probably
tell them about the special thing on the back.
on the back.
wonderful
There's a
artist.
Bible verse behind every single person and my unicorn mug.
It's so special.
It is. Kelly Jo, who did, she's an artist, and I guess she has a.
Does she have a Twitter or anything?
She said, my eyes are bad. Kelly Jo
Take a picture of that and
Artistry.com. Okay, I will.
This
she
is
wants.
so lifelike too, Greg, because you're the same size here as you are on there. I like it. Dang, that's what you get for baiting me. Go ahead.
Oh, I thought you're next.
Oh, I am next. So sorry. I was just so excited about my victory there. All right, and thank you for the beautiful painting. This is something very cute. I wanted to do the National Ice Cream Sundae Day, but I don't know. Producers threw a flag on this for this amazing video. This might be the most excited kid ever to go to school. You wish you had this kid at home. So Tana Rodriguez and his son Kevin were walking into Rodriguez Elementary Monday morning in Austin, Texas, and the local Fox affiliate caught this.
I'm excited to going back to school because I'm going to 4th grade and after that I'm going to 5th grade and I'm going to college or high school, I don't know. Also my mom thinks I'm a baby so I can't walk to school sometimes and also she thinks I need protective gear when I need to ride a bike.
Oh my God, it sounds like you have a fantastic mom. And I bet you he even takes his Flintstone vitamins in the morning. What a cutie
He
patootie.
took some. I want what he's having.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Okay, mine is a celebration of 100
Greta, my
years
turn.
to the National Park Service. I'm celebrating its centennial today. One of my favorite things when I worked at the White House Council on Environmental Quality was being a liaison with the National Park Service. Amazing. I think we have some video that they did for their anniversary. This is, if you go on the National Park Service website, you can see a lot more about this jewel that we have that nowhere else in the world has all of these amazing protected parks like we do.
Not allowed in parks.
Thank you.
Why are
Liz.
you not allowed in parks?
Can't
Because
go.
of that incident back in the 80s?
It's obvious.
Anyway, and thank you to all the National Parks employees. I think you're amazing.
God bless. We send Facebook and Twitter out about that too as well. Okay.
All right, so last night at the Nationals-Orioles game in Washington, D.C., local Olympic champion Katie Ledecky, winner of four gold medals and 1 silver, threw out the first pitch at the Nats game. That's pretty terrific, but here's a hidden treat. While she threw out the first pitch, Major League Baseball's most valuable player, Bryce Harper, had to hold her gold medals as she was throwing.
Nice.
Very impressive.
You threw it better than President Obama.
Hey, let me tell you about 23-year-old Jimmy Cox. He wanted to make some overtime, so he got called to a pipe leak in front of the house of Andrea Adams. And guess what? The leak needed some personal attention.
Wow.
He dove into a 5-foot hole to cover it up and fix it.
No
he was
way.
able to get some clamps on that and stop the leak. Andrea was so amazed, she took the picture. By the time he got home, she put it on Facebook. It has gone viral. Who says Americans don't work hard anymore? Cox says this is all in the line of work. People do this a lot. He just wants to make some overtime, trying to help people out.
Wow.
I am in awe of that effort.
That's the American
I'm in
spirit.
awe that
That's the American spirit.
His shirt and his pants stayed in touch.
Right, and by the way, he's still okay. He's a little
That was
hoarse
so
from diving in
Juan.
that.
All right, Central
absolutely.
DVR's never miss an episode of The Five. That's it for us. Special report is next. And Greta, tonight, please join me. I'm in for her.